It's okay.
Oh God, except in legal proceedings. But yeah, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Hi, everybody. This is Leslie Rhodey with my usual unkempt hair and not shaving. Um, and then there's Michelle Sangthorn, and I'm not even going to try to follow up what I just said. And then Dan Thies, you can't see his picture, but he's still trying to get the whole screen share thing. Oh, there he is in that lovely black and white. Um,
All
and
the rain in Houston has sucked all the rainbows out of the sky.
Right, that
Right.
might be it. Yeah, not his power line adapter. That's horrible. Anyway, good. So today we're actually talking. Now, some of you may have seen a registration page that said Facebook. Okay, that was a little technical glitch there. To Keith's point, yes, we are having the usual technical difficulties. Not usual. These are less than usual, so that's good. But Dan has a prepared presentation today.
These are things that usually don't happen.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we're only 6 or 7 minutes late. So
Awesome.
Dan has a presentation dealing with AdWords, and AdWords apparently is like really the bomb because we have 223 registered. Ooh. And with almost no email, that's AdWords probably sells, Dan. I mean, it sounds to me like we should do more of that. Just saying.
Well, it certainly helps people sell stuff.
True.
So I would think that given the audience that we have, things that help people sell stuff would be of interest to those people because most of them are trying to sell something or something similar to selling something, like getting a lead.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's too hard to parse, so we'll just move on. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do the whole magical present to everyone here, which is, in my experience, has to be done twice. Nope. Actually, it worked the first time this time. So.
Am I the presenter?
You are, in fact, Dan, the presenter.
That's great because I have a presentation. Now, what I'm going to do today is a little bit of an update on something that we did a number of years ago called the Adwords Triangulation Method. This is actually sort of a compressed version of the full method that we use to manage AdWords account, but it's kind of at the core of what people tend to get wrong when they're managing AdWords. And so a lot of the stuff that I'm going to show you here today will be things that, well, if you're managing AdWords accounts, you might be doing wrong, unless, of course, you've been doing it this way all along. And if you have been doing it all along, where we're going to start first is give you a little bit of an update. A lot of people are familiar with the AdWords Triangulation Method. A lot of people have been through my AdWords training at one time or another. Or, of course, I don't know, something like 250,000 people saw that video back in 2008 when we started calling it the AdWords Triangulation Method instead of just how I run AdWords, because according to a man I know, that's not a very sexy name. So AdWords Triangulation Method, you can shorten that to ATM, and that sounds like money. And that's really what this is all about. So I have a series of these. I think there are going to be 4, maybe 3 if I can pull it off, but this is part 1, and this is going to provide an update for folks that have seen this stuff before in terms of what's possible now, how we've been able to expand and improve on the ATM method, and that's one of those self-referring acronyms or something like that. Anyway.
Yeah, the method. Mm-hmm.
So for those of you that aren't familiar with the AdWords Triangulation Method, if you're familiar with AdWords at all, this will serve as a little bit of an introduction. But the kind of results that you can get with this, and often very quickly, are pretty spectacular. We had a lead generator that we took on recently, and right now we're looking at 64% more leads and an 18% reduction in the cost per lead. Now, they weren't unhappy about the cost per lead before, but they're happier about the added margins and, of course, about the added leads, and that's just a month and a half or so into actually working on the problem for them. We've got an online retailer who literally got 3.5 times the sales and got their revenue over ad spend from 320%, which was about break even, to 600%, which is, well, significantly better than break even. And by the way, as a retailer, you really shouldn't mind acquiring customers at break even from AdWords, because those are people that you can sell more stuff to down the road. But of course, if you can acquire those customers and make money, especially making that kind of money, you'd probably like to do that as well. And one of the best ways that you can get those multiples on your ROI is by using shopping campaigns. One of the things we'll talk about here today is how to use those and how to extend the AdWords triangulation method from just search ads, which is where we started back when there weren't shopping ads on Google, to how you can actually use it there. We had a lead generator that we started working with back in December, doubled their conversions in 90 days without actually adding anything to their spend. And really, for anyone, would you like to increase the ROI in your AdWords campaigns by 20 or 30% and get that done in about a month? If you can get this applied and get this to work in about a month, you should be able to see that kind of ROI improvement. One of the reasons why when we do AdWords audits, we guarantee that you'll see at least a 20% improvement in ROI if you implement our recommendations, is because there's that much money, there's that much fat sitting there in almost every single AdWords campaign that I look at. And so, what is the AdWords triangulation method about? And this will be a review for some of you, but for search advertising, the key point here is that we start with exact match. Some other things that we do is we run campaigns for testing purposes. That is to say, we don't know if we're making money on this yet, and so we have a campaign where we have a limited budget so that we can spend money to test and try to find new opportunities. But we also run production campaigns, which means that we've got AdWords campaigns that we are running profitably, and we're managing them to increase that profitability and to increase the volume that we get from them. But we really don't have to apply a budget restriction to them as long as they continue to perform within the right parameters, right? If you're getting $6 for every dollar that you spend, you don't need to say, well, I can only afford to spend $2 a day on that. You can, however many dollars I can buy at a sixth of the cost, I'll continue to do that. The other thing here is to optimize by opportunity. That is to find the places where you have the best opportunity to turn a profit and focus on working on those too, even if you're working on those at the exclusion of other things that simply don't represent a large enough opportunity. In a lot of cases with AdWords campaigns, when we take them over, if we're trying to deal with a small budget, we'll turn a bunch of stuff off because it's not the best opportunity and try to drive volume on the stuff that is the most profitable. I think that just makes sense, and I don't think anyone would argue with it, but you'd be surprised how often people aren't actually operating that way. They're trying to do as much as they can to find every no stone unturned, but let's when we turn over a stone and we find gold underneath it, let's mine that gold before we start throwing money at turning over new stones. Now, for shopping campaigns, this is going to be a little bit weird for people who aren't familiar with the way I approach shopping campaigns, because the first thing we're going to do is start with keyword research. And the funny thing there is Google tells you, well, that you can't target keywords with your shopping campaigns, and that's sort of true, but I'll actually show you how to do that in today's presentation, or at least the beginnings of how to do that. And so what we're going to do with shopping campaigns, we're actually going to group our products based on the keywords that we want them to show up for. So what search query do we want to show these products on? And then that's how we group our products in AdWords. I'm going to show you something today called the high-low method, which gives you an absurd amount of control over the keywords that you use and allows you to segment the most profitable keywords and make sure that you are always bidding to into the shopping box on your most profitable keywords, and how to control which products show up for which keywords by using what we call ad group exclusion. And this is kind of what Google would tell you is the main way to do it, but really it's not. We actually get a lot more mileage out of things like high-low than we get out of ad group exclusion, because ad group exclusion is really something that's more effective for very, very high volume advertisers. But the key to the whole thing here is we're trying to find the most profitable search result pages, the places where people are making the most money. Optimize those, get to where we can own those, get to where we can have our ads at the top of the page or always have our ads in the shopping box, and then crank that volume up as high as we can. So doing ad testing to try and get more people through, and testing different product images and things like that in the shopping campaigns to try and increase the volume. So let's start, though, by going back to the core of the AdWords triangulation method and how it works with search advertising. And so the starting point for this, to be able to do it effectively, is to understand what an ad group does. And what an ad group does is it's got keywords in it, it's got ads in it, and the keywords trigger the opportunity for your ads to show the bids, and mostly the click-through rate on your ads determines whether you'll be on the first page of search results, and if so, what position you'll be in. And by the way, the top positions tend to convert better, especially for retailers. But even for lead generators, you really don't want to move too far down the page before you start to lose some of the lead value, unless what you're doing is truly unique among the advertisers that are on the page. And of course, the ads that you show lead to landing pages, and of course, you'd like all those things to sing together off the same sheet of music. And so think about it this way: if you know what somebody searched for, if you know exactly what they typed into the search box, then you could optimize the message that you deliver, right? You could optimize the ad, you could optimize the landing page, and even based on day of the week, you could bid a little bit more on certain days when you know that more people who search for that buy, and bid a little bit less on other days when, well, people aren't necessarily buying. Or you might find that your ads actually need to be different on different days of the week in order to keep your conversion high across all 7 days of the week. But if you cannot win, if you cannot figure out a way to make a profit when you know exactly what they typed, and you can write an ad that's exactly about that and take them to a landing page that's exactly about what the ad said about what they typed into the search box, you're not going to do better when you don't know what they typed in. And that is why we start with exact match, because with exact match we know exactly what they did. Taking the same keyword and using a broad match version doesn't increase your odds of conversion. All it does is increase the number of people that are going to see your message that doesn't work. And so get it to work with exact match, figure out how to make a profit with that, and then we can start to mine some of the other opportunities. And by the way, broad match, particularly modified broad match, can nowadays be the most profitable source of traffic in your AdWords campaign, whereas once upon a time, when I first started talking about this stuff, you really needed to focus most of your energy on exact match first, phrase match second, and broad match last, if at all.
Hey Dan,
so,
this sounded actually there's actually overlaps with what you teach in UTE as well, Universal Traffic Engine, where go after the most narrowly focused market first, get that to work, and then expand in stages